Romans, the Passion Translation, Chapter 10. My beloved brothers and sisters, the passionate desire of my heart and constant prayer to God is for my fellow Israelites to experience salvation. For I know that although they are deeply devoted to God, they are unenlightened. And since they've ignored the righteousness God gives, wanting instead to be acceptable to God because of their own works, they have refused to submit to God's faith righteousness. For Christ is the end of the law, and because of him, God has transferred his perfect righteousness to all who believe. Moses wrote long ago about the need to believe every part of the law in order to be declared righteous with God. The one who obeys these things must always live by them. But we receive the faith righteousness that speaks an entirely different message. Don't for a moment think that you need to climb into heaven to find the Messiah and bring him down, or to descend into the underworld and bring him up from the dead. But the faith righteousness we receive speaks to us in these words of Moses. God's living message is very close to you, as close as your own heart beating in your chest, and as near as the tongue is in your mouth. And what is God's living message? It is the revelation of faith for salvation, which is the message that we preach. For if you publicly declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him up from the dead, you will experience salvation. The heart that believes in him receives the gift of the righteousness of God, and then the mouth confesses, resulting in salvation. For the scripture encourages us with these words, everyone who believes in him will never be disappointed. So then, faith eliminates the distinction between Jew and non-Jew, for he is the Lord for all people, and he has enough treasure to lavish generously upon all who call on him. And it is true, everyone who calls on the Lord's name will experience new life. But how can people call on him for help if they have not yet believed? And how can they believe in one they have not heard of? And how can they hear the message of life if there is no one to proclaim it? And how can a message be proclaimed if messengers have not yet been sent? This is why the scripture says, how welcome is the arrival of those proclaiming the joyful news of peace and of good things to come. But not everyone welcomes the good news. As Isaiah said, Lord, is there anyone who hears and believes our message? Faith, then, is birthed in the heart that responds to God's anointed utterance of the Anointed One. Can it be that Israel hasn't heard the message? No, they've heard it, for the voice that has been heard throughout the world and its message has gone to the ends of the earth. So again I ask, didn't Israel already understand that God's message was for others as well as for themselves? Yes, they certainly did understand, for Moses was the first to state it. I will make you jealous of people who are nobodies, and I will use people with no understanding to provoke you to anger. And Isaiah, the fearless prophet, dared to declare, those who found me were not even seeking me. I manifested myself before those who weren't even asking to know me. Yet, regarding Israel, Isaiah says, with love I have held out my hand day after day, offering myself to this unbelieving and stubborn people.